Talk about closing the border. David Schechter is verifying the cost of illegal immigration. Does it put a strain on government programs, and how? Check it out.
Verify. Fast facts.
Whenever I do a story about government programs like healthcare or education, we get a ton of messages on Facebook from people who say that illegal immigrants are using up our government services and we're paying the bill. So are illegal immigrants a drag on the cost of government programs? For answers, I'm diving into this landmark research report from the National Academies of Science, the gold standard for research, and I'm talking to Pia Arrhenius.
Hi, my name is Pia Arrhenius, and I'm Senior Economist at the Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas.
She's one of 14 economists, professors, and policy experts who wrote that report. The problem with answering this question directly is that the people who wrote this report said there is no way to know how many people are actually in the country illegally, so they looked at all immigrants. As part of that, they have identified uneducated immigrants. So you can see how much an uneducated immigrant contributes in payroll or property tax for a house or an apartment, and then subtract how much that person and their family use up in government services. Okay, at the federal level, the National Academies found over the long run, the impacts of immigrants on government budgets are generally positive. When it comes to federal programs, a first-generation immigrant, including dependents, contributes $7,117 in taxes and uses $6,154 in services, a difference of about $1,000.
Because they have access to fewer services from the government, they're actually less of a cost than, for example, legal immigrants or U.S. citizens.
But the state and local level, that's a different story. The report found first-generation immigrants are more costly, in large part due to the costs of educating their children.
Low-income families are not contributing enough in state and local taxes to compensate for the cost of educating their children.
In Texas, for example, an immigrant costs taxpayers $2,050, partly for medical expenses, but mostly for the cost of education. By the time those second-generation kids are working, the cost is $400. By the third generation, those kids put in $1,400 more than they take out.
Education is an investment in the future of the child. Education is a return, will yield a return on this investment that's positive for society as well as for the individual.
So, to our question, are illegal immigrants a drag on the cost of government programs? The best data we have is only about those uneducated immigrants. And at the federal level, they're not a drag. But at the state and local level, they are. If you've got something you want verified, send me an email.